Hello, welcome to our podcast. This is Dom, this is Tiana, and I am Destiny.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about femininity in the early 1900s literature as well as media, and we're just going to compare and see what we think. Like, does it fly now? Does it not? We'll just see how it goes.
I'm excited.
Yes, we're all very excited.
I laughed a little too hard, sorry.
Okay, so let's start off with the media first, right? Are we all into movies? Do we all like movies?
Yes, I'm a big movie fan.
Yeah. Well, have you all seen Real Bravo at all?
No. Can you elaborate?
Okay, so this first movie that we're picking up on is a Western. It's unlike spaghetti westerns. Spaghetti westerns are more the Italians trying to do westerns. Like
That makes sense.
It sounds kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
An Italian western, like you just think of spaghetti just all over the floor, everything. But if we're thinking more of Real Bravo right now, we're thinking about the female character in Real Bravo. There's only one real strong character. We call her Feathers in it, right?
Okay.
She's just like a distracting girl. She distracts almost all the men in there, and she's more of just like a character thrown there for romance. She's not a traditional woman, as in like she's just gonna try to turn the gears and everything. She's very innovative. She wants to be a distractor, basically. Do y'all know any characters like that, really? Just a distractor piece?
Yeah, I feel like when people just want a surface level female character, that's what they go for, is someone who's a distraction without a brain, like a body without a brain.
Body without a brain?
Yeah, oftentimes, like in movies and in shows, there's like this thing called the Bechdel test or something, where like two women characters have to like talk about something other than like a guy.
Yeah, it was actually created out of a meme that someone fake created for something, and it's really hard to pass it now. But like the idea that a woman is only her body and there to be a distraction towards men instead of like have actual thoughts behind her character, I think is interesting. I'm trying to think of a movie like that.
Certainly,
but it's all out there. I'm trying to think.
It's all out there. Is it mostly like the older films?
I would even argue like West Side Story has some elements of that too.
I would say like some of like the Marvel, like early Marvel movies had that. Like it was just
like Daredevil.
Yeah, kind of. No, I actually have seen Daredevil, but I don't remember. But yeah, like a lot of the times they just kind of serve as like being like saved by the man. I would say like in recent more like movies, like Marvel movies, they're trying to like come away from that, but it's very, very hard unless like you do something about it.
Unless you're doing something about it. Yeah, what do you mostly feel whenever you do see these women? Like, are they more of a distractor to y'all as well? Or do y'all feel like any related to them at all?
I would say that they do like a lot of like male gaze kind of thing where it's like very fan servicey. Like you know you get like shots like the Transformers movies. There we go. There's like like the first Transformers movies, like she's all like getting all like the body shot and like just like being served for the man. And so like I would say it's more for the male gaze, kind of like it's not like someone that you can relate to. It's just someone that like you should be attracted to, and they're kind of just there.
I actually think that you can relate to her in the sense that we don't see like the thoughts behind her. I think that as women just existing in the society that we live in, most people just look at us physically before they even think anything about what's on the inside. Like I think about that term RBF, resting
Bitch face,
yeah. And like you can just judge somebody based on their appearance when they could be like a really nice person. So it's like I feel like I can relate to that character as well, because we don't see anything going on the inside, where women are often regarded as just these beings that are there, like you said, for the male gaze, instead of like for something else.
Yeah.
I even think The Incredibles, the way they're
Oh my gosh.
Herbaceous.
You know, we'll all live up there one day. We'll all become those thicker chickens. It just takes a minute, you know?
We are.
Thick chickens.
I like good chicken.
I like this.
Rotisserie chicken. Sorry.
So we can still, like, break the stigma upon, like, these attractive females, that they're just more than just their attractiveness. They're everything. They're still a very important part of the movie. Like, do you believe, like, if a Miss Incredible wasn't there, would it still be the same?
Not gonna lie, she has a lot of scenes that are like important to the plot. So I think that if they were gone, she would be gone. Like, it would be the same.
Yeah, I also feel like it's a hard thing to address, because when people do the thing where it's not about, like, she's this gorgeous character, they picture an independent woman who's ugly and dresses very conservatively in, like, brown, colorless clothes, who can't be herself. So, I mean, you have
You're
to
in
think
support
about
of her, right?
I
She is just as integral as all the other characters.
But I like a character like Dolly Parton, who, to be honest, she
just embraces everything.
She does, and she's very feminine, and she is what she likes, and she's not afraid to speak her mind. I just love Dolly Parton.
The thing is, I don't think there's anything bad with, like, wanting to, like, present a certain way, like, wanting to look like a certain way, very feminine, you know, like, it's kind of often looked down upon because it's often very sexualized.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I lost my train of thought. But the thing is, it's like, it's not about, like how she presents herself. It's about, like, what she does, like, her actions. It's not just, like, you know, like, like, she's, you know, like, because you can't, it's very hard to fight something like the patriarchy, like, from back then, I would say. But, like, you can start addressing it now, and, like, you make, like, certain things, and you start, like, subverting those tropes, right? So, like, what I think is important is, like, to, like, have that character do something for herself rather than for, like, the plot or, like, what the man needs in that movie or whatever. So, like, something that drives her character as well. Because, you know, you see a lot of character growth in, like, the male, like, guys or whatever, like, going through this entire arc. A lot of the time it's like, my wife died, so I'm gonna go avenge her or whatever. But, you know, like, what about the dead wife? What did she want in life?
It reminds me almost of, because I was thinking about Dolly Parton and the thing about, like, subverting character tropes. Have you ever seen the movie 9 to 5?
Yes.
It's literally Dolly Parton's character, who I extremely love in that movie, is this beautiful woman who has a brain, and she's a secretary, but she's, like, sexualized for her body by her boss, rather than that, and, like, they take charge of her boss, basically, and try to kill him.
Oh my
like,
gosh. It's okay,
that's
happens.
what I think about, like, subverting those types of tropes, is, like, you can still be beautiful, because all the women in that movie are beautiful, and have a brain, and have deadly thoughts.
And even then, like, you don't even have to be, like, super, like, hyper-independent to be your own person. Or, like, not even, like, that's hyper-independent is the wrong word. Like, hyper, like, want to do revenge and kill stuff. You don't have to be deadly to be independent. That's what I'm trying to say.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like I said, we just gotta think of everything as, like, its own, integral part. Like, without it, would it be the same? Would we still respect the character? Do we think that something should be missing in it? All of the above when we're thinking of stuff like this. Like, do you think if the movie didn't have this Feathers character or anyone to be sexualized at all, would it have the same appeal? Do you think the women would actually like this?
No. I don't think that women would like the movie anyways. It doesn't matter if there's a character like Feathers, because we can't relate to Feathers, because she's just this unattainable piece of eye candy that most women don't look like. I'm going to assume.
I just want to say, I want to post a certain question. If you need a woman like Feathers to be the entire thing of your movie, then did you even write a good movie in the first place?
Well,
like, if you need, like, a strong, like, you know, like, if you need a nice piece of candy like Feathers, like
sex
to be
sells.
missing. I know it sells, but
It
if it's
sells
missing,
very much so.
You're not gonna have a movie. I've
so like I think that's something about the writers and like the production on itself. So like do better. That's all I'm saying.
I would actually challenge you to try to find a movie where there isn't some type of sex appeal or that in it. It's
Coyote
really
Ugly.
hard. Bro, that's literally all it is. Like, unless it's a children's movie, and there's even those sexual tropes in that. So it's like our culture's saturated in it. So, like,
It is true.
Very much so it is.
what was the rest of your question that you asked?
Oh, well, that was it for that part. But there is another, what is it called? Media part. It was from the movie Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Django Unchained. However you'd like to say it. But, you know, he is a special character just because, like, he got relieved of his slavery and he's on his way to help himself find his wife. And when we think of Django Unchained, we're mostly thinking of like this independent slave, and he's over here just trying to do his best just so he can get his wife back. But the wife is over there struggling on her own. She's over here just, oh my gosh, she's over here just carrying on with the slaves who sold her and who didn't. She's having to like stay away from her husband. Like they're already legally married. Why is this? Why do they create this such separation?
I feel like part of that is like when people think of action movies, because Django Unchained is an action movie in a way, is that it's hard to sell it if it's just focused on a woman. And I feel like most action movies that we see that like are made now focus more on the man side of it. And even like when I think of movies that I've seen that focus on slavery and like what does it mean to be a slave at that time, not a lot of them focus on the woman. I'm trying to like go through my mind and think about those things, and I feel like it's almost like they're portraying that in that circumstance the woman isn't the focus on the action. It's like the man's redemptive feature of how can he save her. That's what it seems like.
Yes, very much so.
That she's in need of saving.
But she's not necessarily in the saving. She's been on her own for so long, and he just feels a need to just be with his wife.
Which I can see the appeal of that, especially like if you want to talk about like tropes.
Yes.
Of like what does it mean to be a family and marriage.
Yes.
That makes sense, but like she can survive well on her own.
She did. She survived several years without her lover, and he wasn't really rescuing her from anything, just not to be taken out so fast, basically.
Yeah.
Because she did have a mouth on her. She did try to run away several times. She was a strong, independent woman without him. That's what we got to remember the most. So if we're thinking about Feathers and we're thinking about Broomhilda, those are the two characters that we're talking about. They're very independent from each other. They are almost direct opposites. Like,
I can see that.
Broomhilda, if you was to see her naked at all, it would be more of a shame compared to seeing Feathers naked. She's just doing that just so she can just be sexualized. Why does one girl needs a sexual gratification, sexualization, while the other one is just trying to live out her life?
I feel like a part of that plays on like what does it mean to be dependent on a man, and from the way that Feathers has been described, she's very much focused on how do I appeal to men, and we don't know what the thoughts are on the outside. We can at least see with Brunhilde, as you've described her, is that she's been able to live on her own, even if she's in the conventions of slavery, right?
Yes.
And I think it would be part, like you said, put in as a part of shame if we were to see each character naked.
Yeah.
I feel like hers would be a thing of shame because she's an independent woman, first of all, and she's also under this whole tower of oppression, right? And that's a really interesting contrast that you have there, because they do seem like opposites from each other.
complete opposites, of course.
Like dependency-wise too.
Yeah, I will say that I don't know this Feathers girl character. I don't know why she's like in is she in the is she just being is she in the prostitute business? Or she just
not necessarily. She used to.
Not a woman of the night, a shady lady.
She kind of was is the thing. She kind of was, and she's just trying to be with John Wayne.
John Wayne.
He's a famous cowboy. You don't know John Wayne?
But I really don't. I mean,
That's okay.
yes, I do. Just kidding. I mean, it's so easy to just trash on a character because they're sexualized, which is not
they're both trash.
They're both trash.
They're both big trash bags.
Oh, they're both trash bags.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess my point is they're both independent of each other, very different circumstances, but at the same time what are they doing to survive is the question.
She's craving that attention from him. She's craving it. She wants him. She has nearly gone out naked just because she wants him to console her and tell her no, don't freaking go out naked.
It kind of seems like
she's using the damsel in distress.
It's almost hard to even to think of Feathers as a person, because I think about the person behind the writing.
I think she's a whore, a big old whore.
No, I think more when I think of her, it seems like I don't see her as the woman as much because there's nothing relatable about her in that way. Because I can definitely tell maybe the director's a man, only because it seems like she's that kind of surface level character where it's I'm walking down a staircase, my boobs are jiggling so jiggly and this is what I'm going to describe to you in a scene in a movie. That's what we're going to pan in on. We're going to focus on that.
Oh, her titties?
Yeah.
That's exactly.
That's yeah.
It's disappointing.
My mind went in a circle.
What do we think is Feathers as a person devoid of
I think of her as a man because I don't see the female in her.
Well, yeah,
she's an object.
As unfortunate. If we think of her as that, what is she doing to survive in that toxic environment? That's what I'm thinking.
Nothing.
I think what she's trying to do is get the man that she loves. Whether that is he a secure person? Does he have money?
John Wayne.
But in the movie,
he's a sheriff.
So he has position and power. What does she have separate from him?
Nothing.
Yeah. It seems like she's trying to get some sort of power over her situation.
She's a whore.
That's sometimes what you you use your sexuality sometimes to get that power, and especially back then when a lot women were also oppressed in that way, they didn't have a lot of rights.
I can't see it.
At the same time, she seems to be surviving before him.
Yeah, well, she came in on a bus, in a way, and she just wanted to be with him so bad. She just didn't leave the situation. She's I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna get anything that I can from this man. Okay, well let's move on a little bit to the literature part. Okay, so we've read this Raisin the Sun play, right? We're coasting on to some more feminism now, and this woman, she to a point, she is almost as if she how do you use the word? I'm trying to think. If she has control of the agenda, she's the main walker, and touch the screen.
Oh, the screen. I was what are you?
Okay, so she's kind of pretentious in a way, right? When I think of her, I kind of think of Dom a little bit.
Bro.
She is pretentious. We're gonna say it like that.
Over here writing notes on a podcast.
They're not even real. I'm just kidding.
She's
okay, no.
I'm gonna write that down. Pretentious.
She is a black feminist. This is early 1900s, 1930s. Where she I don't know how you say. She's one of those people who are going to college. She is trying to prove everybody wrong, and she's just in a way just trying to get her life on track, so she's not having to do what the other people are doing. Like the typical woman that lives in her neighborhood, they cook food for people. They wash the dishes for people. They clean the house for people. They're doing domesticated work. But she doesn't want to do that. She wants to become a doctor. She wants to get her doctorate. She's going to stay on this path, and no matter what anyone says, she's going to do it. She's going to be this female who controls her path, not the other way around, not them controlling her path. She's gonna prove everyone wrong. She's gonna become a doctor. You hear this? She's gonna become a doctor. Nobody believes her. Not her mom, not her thing, not her brother. Because that's for white people. She's not gonna be ever discouraged from her dream.
Yeah.
You get that? No.
Yeah.
No changing.
Status quo.
Status quo.
And no matter what people say to her, she's gonna keep believing she's gonna be a doctor. Because she had this great dream that she wanted to help her friends one day.
I like that. Yeah. She definitely seems like a different type of character than what we've seen.
Yes.
Especially, like...
She's very educated.
I like an educated woman. Just putting that out there.
Educated.
top of my list. And I like the fact that I'm guessing the book takes place in a time where that's not socially acceptable, or at least not done frequently. Wait, what time period does it take place in?
1900s.
Early 1900s?
Early 1900s.
So, and she said that she's a black woman trying to seek her doctorate and become a doctor to help her friends. I feel like that's like something that's frowned upon during that time. Like,
it is very frowned upon.
Even to see a woman trying to get a degree or get a doctorate. I was thinking of the show I was watching. It's called No, I was watching Outlander, and there's a scene where the main character, she's a white woman actually, is just going to college, and she's trying to get her doctorate to become a doctor so she can work in medicine. And she's frowned upon, and she's a white woman in the UK.
In the 1960s, no less.
And if that's frowned upon, thinking about a woman, early 1900s, a black woman trying to do the same thing, it's like, well, there's another hurdle that you have.
Yes,
there's a lot of systematic oppression during that time that doesn't.
Yeah.
Yes,
you
have several people just wanting you to fail.
Yeah.
She's over here going up against all these people. She even turned down a contract for to take home money because they didn't want her moving into this nicer area. They were convinced to give them even more than what they paid for the house. I think it was maybe, I can't remember exactly how much, but it was over thousands of dollars just so they won't move in at all. And they didn't take it.
And they moved into the nice house anyways?
No, they didn't move. Yeah, they did move into the I forgot. But they moved into the nice house. They moved into the nice house against all odds, but
yeah, that's interesting. It even makes me think of White Flight.
Oh yes.
We're back when all the the military men came back from war, and there's all these minorities who are coming back with this pay and nowhere to do it. I mean, nowhere to spend it, and they're wanting to have the American dream of this nice house with a little picket fence and a wife and kids, because that's the dream back then. And so all these new GIs come in, and they move into these neighborhoods where there's traditionally white families. And then as soon as minorities start to move in, all the white people move, and they take the wealth with them. And minorities are left with houses that don't cost anything anymore, and so they can't even move from that. So when you say, what is it, the oppression that's like, comes from her family even, of like, we can't move from the status quo to where we're at.
Yes.
It seems like it's built on a system that's
She's stuck there.
Yeah. And like when I'm thinking about feminism and that, it's like not just feminism being like a strong woman, but it's like, how do you subvert societal expectations for you, even if it's like coming from family who loves you and cares for you? Like, how do you navigate through that? She seems like an interesting character.
She is. It just takes time to like her. Like, you know, you don't really like the typical character or someone that you think that is just trying to oppress you, or just someone who you're not really getting a lot from.
Yeah.
It takes a while for you to actually like her. Like, you don't realize it till later that she does feel for her family, and she wants something better for them. Yeah. And it just doesn't make sense to like frivolously spend money and not get where you're wanting in life. Yeah.
And like part of that even sounds like just wanting better for your family, for like not looking at things as just like surviving now, but trying to ensure that you still have that system set up in the future. Because I think that's seems like a big difference. Like even when you're talking about like wealth and like what does it mean to succeed.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, even like just from a woman perspective too. Yeah.
Okay, well then let's move on to the last and foremost thing. I'm sorry this is more of a Debbie Downer for all y'all.
That's okay.
But have any of y'all heard of the Bluest Eye?
Vaguely, when you started reading the book and you're like, look at all the literature I know. Yeah. I heard some parts, but can you brush me up on it?
Brush you up on it? Okay, yeah. Well, the Bluest Eye, it's more of a piece so you can understand what is that thing called? Intersectionality. It's about the poor. It's about internalized racism. Yeah. It has to do with pretty privilege a little bit. Just everything that you could really think of. There's this family. One of the children who is down bad. Her name is Picola. She's basically just like, you know, she's in this position. She's forgot the word.
Sectionalized?
No, she's not intersectional. She is, but she's not that right now. She's internalized. She has internalized anger towards her own race.
What race is she?
She's black.
Okay.
Black, and then she thinks that she deserves everything that she gets in life. She deserves that she is supposed to be raped by her dad. She thinks that she's not supposed to like her own race because they're black. Nobody likes black society during this time. The most troubling thing is all the racism that you get in the Bluest Eye. She like said she thinks she deserves it just because she's ugly. No child deserves to be raped. No child deserves to just live life with such rose-colored lenses when the rose-colored lenses are for white people.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think that, like, just thinking about that, it's like sometimes we believe the lies that society tells us about ourselves and about our position, like from the way she thinks of that she deserves the things that are happening to her, like the hate that she's getting. It's almost like she's taken everything that society tells her, and she's internalized that because that's her identity through other people. And the idea of pretty privilege, because she's not necessarily pretty, I think that's like, what do we focus on? It seems like in this case a lot of it in this book seems to be about skin color and physical beauty.
Yes.
Which is just interesting in itself, but like I think it's so like not messed up. It is messed up, but like when a young girl like has ideas about herself that she's not this or that just because of what society tells her that she can and can't be. That's kind of what it sounds like you're saying about Piccola. You said
Piccola, yes.
Piccola. Is there anything else that happens like that, or did you?
Nothing major, really. Just like I saw internal racism. There's been other people and that has the same race as her and who still treats her like she's shit. They like everyone just shits on her.
I think like I feel like so bad for her because she, like you've mentioned, like she has all these things like internalized anger towards her race, like things that are happening. And well, I think it's just kind of like so hard to kind of see outside your own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're growing up, right? You're young and you're kind of like viewing the world for the first time, and then you're getting all of these things like said at you, and you're getting like her dad doing that to her. Like that's the person that you're supposed to trust and like is supposed to be there for you. And so like if that's happening so close like to herself, like in her internal circle, like how else can you view the world other than bad if no one ever showed you anything better? You know, like how else can you see that the world is like perhaps can be kinder if everyone is reaffirming those bad things that you've had about yourself? And like I don't think that should be like, I think it's just very hard to like get outside of that perspective if you're not shown in some way some kind of kindness. And even if you're shown some kind of kindness, it's like you take it as very much like on the defense, like that's just a blurb, or that's not true, or they're not kind, or you know, whatever. And I think like she has it very, very, very rough to try to see like outside of that perspective, because you're a young person who's forming, your brain is developing, and if you can't be shown that kindness while you're very young, that kind of sticks with you like for a very long time. And it's very hard to like untangle all of that because it's deeply rooted like in you. So I really hope like her life got better afterwards. I didn't read the ending of that book.
She basically internally died. It was more of a spiritual death than her actual dying. Like she's still living on with consequences.
What happened for that?
Well, her spirit just went down. Like it happened more than once of her being raped by her father, and like I said, she just thinks that that's all that's put in her life for. So
yeah, I can see that after like years of enduring the same type of like repeated abuse, it kind of just makes the person realize that the only like way to survive is to shut off those parts of their emotions. I know that a lot of abuse survivors like have places where they compartmentalize all the things that have happened to them, and it's like, how do you not believe the lies that someone tells you when they're constantly telling you these things of you're less than other people because you're not beautiful, you're worthless, and like that the idea of like a spiritual death. It's like when someone is able to control all parts of you, as in like they give you your own attributes. By that I mean like they tell you you're this and you're that, like you're a disappointment and you're ugly, and they constantly tell you you're a disappointment and you're ugly. You realize the way to survive is to accept those things about yourself, even if they aren't true, because that's how you stay safe. That's how you survive. That's how you get through it. So I think this spiritual death, what you're talking about, seems like an interesting trope to introduce to the book, because this is reality, and I think that a lot of books don't hit on that, like that there are people that are suffering and their suffering never gets better, and instead they keep going through their lives like that. And I feel like that even like encompasses slavery and as before, and like a society where you're constantly oppressed. We nowadays have like the option to like get a better life, which is still really hard because of all these societal expectations that are set apart, and the system that continues to benefit only certain amounts of people. So it's like, well, we still have the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But back then, there is no opportunity. There is no getting better than being a slave if you're a slave, unless you're like set free. But then there's always that the idea that you can be caught and like brought back to slavery. It's like a never-ending cycle of like, what do you do with that? And I think Piccola is like on this scale of women that you've introduced us to. She's the woman that when you've understood your situation and you totally given. I feel like Feathers is a woman that understands her situation and deals with it in a way of like, this is how I can use it to my advantage.
I don't think she's that deep though.
Yeah, I also don't think she's that deep, but
No.
I feel like
But it
on
can
the
be that
feminist
deep.
scale, on feminism, I would say that she's below low, but it's also not her fault because she's written by a male character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's written by a man.
No,
So
he's a
like,
character.
I don't even think she counts on the list, but if we're going to put her in like the feminist scale, I say that Piccola has given into that. Like, it's really sad. And you said Brunhilde, I feel like, is an independent woman, and she's independent even away from her husband, Django, right? Django. She's independent from him, so I feel like even though she's in this system of oppression, that she's able to understand her place.
Yeah.
Also, like, I
Interesting.
think these women have been given all these like awful situations,
Yeah.
and they just have to find a way to survive it, like one way or another.
And it just seems to suck because I feel like if a man were given these situations, he's almost always able to claw himself up.
Yeah,
You know, yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, yeah, you're right. It's almost as expected, like, women to, like, kind of go at it quietly or, like, shut up and just, like, suffer in silence kind of way.
That or, like, even when I think of movies where, like, a man is down bad, right, and he has all these things happening to him, at the end of the movie, he can still be a desirable character or someone that's cool. When a woman in these movies is, like, this character who goes through so many bad things, she becomes this haggard old woman that people are like, wow, that's Betsy, who's a crazy cat lady down the road. She smells like pee, things like that. And, like, there is nothing glorified about her. With a man, I feel like there's still some glory in, like, he survived all these things, look at him now. Whereas a woman, it's like, well,
She's used up, gone.
she's
with the
used up,
world.
she's shriveled, you know, breast milk turned to powder, things like that.
Tiana.
And sorry, I was thinking about what is it, your mama's soul. And
Tiana.
like, this is like just the things that I'm thinking, and like intersectionality. I talked about that before. I think it's one of the most interesting like topics that you can speak on. But sorry, I don't want to keep talking. But like,
Well, I guess we need to de-introduce ourselves.
Oh,
oh yeah.
howdy. My name is Damaris. I'm a senior in political science and English. That girl right there and that girl right there, best friends.
I'm Tiana Rock. I'm an English major here at A&M. This is my last semester, and yeah, Gig'em. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for having us and your podcast.
Of
We
course.
should do another one of these sometime.
Just for fun.
Of course.
Just for fun. Yeah.
It's fun.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
And thank you, teacher. Please give her a good grade.
Give her a name.
She deserves it.
Savannah Palin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She is a cool teacher.